Hello you lovely bastards. Welcome back to Fixing Rusty Stuff Tools for Men. I've just been thinking about Dremel Rotary tools. They're great, aren't they? I love the way they come in sleek professional packaging. I love their modern and high quality appearance, their ease of use and multitude of fancy attachments. But you know, the real magic of Dremels, the thing that sets them apart from all their competitors, is that they never fucking work. If you're an avid watcher of the channel, you'll know that my Dremel spends more time getting fixed than it does fixing stuff. So while I make my second claim on the warranty, I bought this Draper Rotary Rebel to see how it compares. And as usual, we're going to squeeze this succulent rotary tool for every single last drop of content juice that we can, process it into a 10-minute bottle of video soda, and pour it into the interwebs as a sacrificial offering to the YouTube gods. That's you, by the way. So today, we'll be taking a very dubious and highly imaginative look at the history of Draper. We'll investigate the specs of this rotating rascal, while comparing it to its infamous counterpart, the dreaded Dremel. We'll take a butcher's at what else is out there on the market. And lastly, we'll be unboxing this penis-shaped power tool and letting it loose on some rusty stuff to see if it's got what it takes to polish its way into our cold dead hearts, or if it'll join the Dremel disaster in the Hall of Broken Tools infamy. If you can't be bothered to hear me chat bollocks about Bert Draper, or how many RPM his wondrous rotary tool can offer, click the like button immediately, skip to the timestamp shown on the screen now, and tell everyone that Fixing Rusty Stuff is the best channel on YouTube. For all you other lovely bastards, let's find out if this rotary tool will leave us pleasantly surprised, or as unsatisfied and disgusted as my ex-wife was on our honeymoon. Bert Draper started Draper Tools with his wife Emily all the way back at the beginning of the 1900s. It's commonly believed that it all began with Bert's overly bushy eyebrows. He went through a lot of scissors keeping those eyebrows in check. In fact, he was ordering eyebrow scissors in such large quantities that he opened a hardware store selling scissors and other trade tools in Kingston upon Thames in 1919, and B. Draper and Son was born. Business boomed and the orders were flooding in. By the mid-20s, Bert had made enough money to invest in a car and trailer. This meant his wife Emily could stop delivering all the tools on foot. It also meant that his best customer, a hottie called Hoppy, could do more hodding and less hopping to the hardware shop. Over the next 30 years, Draper became a well-known British tool supplier, and in the 50s, Bert was able to afford a new colour camera to take pictures of his delivery van. By the 60s, Bert seemed to have lost the colour camera, and apparently they had to go back to taking black and white photos of their vans instead. Draper grew faster than chlamydia in a hippie commune, and Bert's son Norman, who was a chip off the old unibrow, moved its HQ to Hampshire in the 60s to make room for the massive amounts of tools, and presumably eyebrow hair. Today there are a number of companies in the Draper tool group, surprisingly including names like Nipex, who I've always considered to be far superior to Draper. They also got a range called Stormforce. Hold tight, that can't be right. Sounds like a child's cartoon character. Well, clearly the lads over at Draper had a competition to think up the most randomly intense and vaguely heroic sounding name possible. I mean, Stormforce is more evocative of a weather controlling superhero from the X-Men than a range of tools. Draper is still in Bert's family, now being owned by the 4th generation of Drapers. Other notable Draper moments include sponsorships of Southampton Football Club and a team in the British Touring Car Championships. And in 2011 they became the... Hold on. That's better. In 2011 they became the official tool partner of the Santa Pod Raceway. Now whether Draper are a distributor or manufacturer is about as clear as my wife's explanation for why she needed a pool boy in November. I mean, we didn't even have a hot tub, let alone a pool. I knew what they were up to. Anyway, one minute they claimed to be a supplier, but now they've suddenly changed their mind and become a producer instead. I could be wrong, but my guess is that they've struck a deal with a factory in China to slap the Draper logo on a variety of bodging utensils that are maybe 1 or 2 notches above what you'd find on AliExpress. Still though, good to know I'm supporting a British company, and probably a factory of unpaid Chinese kids. Okay, so check out the specs of this metal polishing princess. We'll use the official Draper website and download the manual, as Full Station are about as reliable as, well, Dremel's rotary tools when it comes to providing tool specs. See Upcycling Death Lamps, link in the word box below. It just so happens that this rotary tool is from the aforementioned Stormforce range, which declares itself designed for quote-unquote domestic or light trade use. Bloody hell, they might as well describe it as fucks faster than your Dremel. First off, I'm pretty sure the Rotary, or any other tool in their Stormforce product range, ain't IP rated, so the name doesn't sound overly appropriate. But seeing as the other option is 230-volt Rotary multi-tool kit, we'll officially christen this tool Stormforce. To be fair, Dremel went with 3000 and I can't find anything in their specs relating to that number, but judging from past experience, it could be the number of times it'll break before the warranty runs out. Anyway, Draper have obviously spent a vast amount of time and resources blessing their handheld wonders with a perfectly ridiculous name, so I won't try and improve on the multi-tool moniker. The Dremel on the other hand, from here on out will be referred to as the Faultmaster 3000. On account of its apparent inability to stay alive for more than 5 consecutive uses. Nice one, Dremel. Price wise, I paid 36 quid for Stormforce, but that does include a whopping 57 attachments. If you can live with only 40, the link in the word box below will get you this beast for 23 quid. The only way you'll get hold of a Dremel for less than about 50 is if you nick it. Or offer the old pervert behind the B&Q counter sexual favours. Neither of which I'd advise. Comparing specs, the first thing I notice is that Stormforce packs slightly more punch, operating at 135 wallops. The Faultmaster has slightly less muscle with only 130. Stormforce wins the first round. Round 2, no load speed. Again, Stormforce pinches it with 35,000 regrets per malfunction compared to the Faultmaster's impotent 33,000. The minimum speed per tool is 15,000 and 10,000 respectively, so the Faultmaster can operate at a lower speed, but I'd say 2-0 to Draper, the faster the better. Both have a colic capacity, that means bit older for you non-nerds, of 3.2mm. The Faultmaster finally claws back some dignity in the weight category, coming in at half a kilogoof, which is 0.12 kilogoofs lighter than Stormforce. On to sound and vibration. Let's call noise levels even as they're identical, but credit to Draper for giving decibels to 2 decimal places. I have a feeling that Stormforce hasn't given their vibration level as a triaxial vector sum, whatever the fuck that is, as it gives a value a fraction of the Faultmaster's. But this thing vibrates more than my ex-wife's bedside cabinet. Faultmaster on the other hand is a little softer and is probably equal to about half a rampant rabbit on the ex-wife vibrator scale. Based on raw specs, Draper takes a trophy. But let's see what else is out there on the interwebs in the wild world of rotary tools. Well, of course, you've got an offering from Titan, but after the thickness of planer debacle, I'm steering well clear of that one. Link in the description if you want to hear that horror story. There's a couple of 12-volt rotary tools from Milwaukee and Bosch for a sum of money so ridiculous it would make the Bank of England nervous. Then we got some Avigo Harry rotary rust removers from the likes of Black & Decker, Einel and no-name Toolstation Silverline brand, all for under 40 squids. And now, time for a brief intermission while you click the like and subscribe buttons and I share a story about my ex-wife. I was walking down the high street with my new bird the other day, and I saw my ex-wife's mum getting beaten up by 4 geezers. My new girlfriend asked me if I was going to help. I said, nah, 4 of them should be enough. Okay, so unboxing and review. Like Hunter Biden with a swimming pool full of cocaine, let's dive into it. Well, the cardboard cover, very sexy. Yeah, 135 wallops, how many regrets per malfunction? Photos of the spindle lock and speed control, just in case you thought it was an emergency stop and FM radio dial. On the back, a handy French to English dictionary, Voulez-vous coucher avec moi, and the obligatory images of the vast array of random attachments you'll never need or use. Okay. Unsleeving this black beauty reveals a very sturdy looking carry case, complete with handle. Great if you need to take it on your holidays to Marbella. I'm impressed. You'd have to dish out some pretty substantial abuse to damage the contents inside this box. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's a big improvement on their Rivet tool carry case. Link in the word box below. Stacked up against a Faultmaster, this bad boy briefcase just oozes raw testosterone. I mean, it makes the Dremel carry case look like a makeup bag or an industrial sized tampon holder in comparison. Okay, so time for the big reveal. Ain't got a drum roll, so here's a heavy metal riff to anoint the occasion. Well, firstly and most importantly, get the instructions and file them away for when you need them for barbecue firelighters. Next up, the 2,000 useless attachments you'll probably never use. But there is a spanner in there. Don't want to lose that or I'll be using a sander attachment for glass engraving. Now, the thing you all came here for, well, apart from my sultry voice, let's get this phallus in my hands. It's quite big. The rotary tool's a decent size too. In seriousness, the body girth is about the same as the Faultmaster, but it is noticeably longer. Well, that's what she said anyway. With only 5 wallops more power in Stormforce, I get the impression that the Faultmaster probably uses smaller and higher quality components. I suppose we'll confirm that if Stormforce breaks within the first 2 flicks of a gnat's bollocks like its Silver Comrade. Speaking of quality, it has to be said, Stormforce doesn't feel anywhere near as high quality as the Faultmaster. Sort of feels, and looks, like an overpriced child's toy. Yeah, plastic feels quite cheap. I mean, it is heavier, by 0.12 kilogoofs, so a cheaper feel is quite an accomplishment. Well done, Draper, you've excelled in shit design. Got the label on the back with all the power tools' personal details like mother's maiden name and date of birth. Hold on, what the fuck? Those lying bastards. This says 0.7. If you remember, we had a look at the specs and they told us it was 0.62. What, they suddenly imported another midget to turn that motor? Come on, Draper. I'd expect this from Full Station, but I feel let down. Spindle locking button also feels cheaper on the Stormforce. Even the hanging loop feels sturdier on the Faultmaster 3000. It's stiffer and has substantially more girth, which has unfortunately never been said about me. Similar location of carbon brushes. Looks like the Faultmaster's commutator is slightly nearer its arse. I don't know what the fuck is taking up all the room at the bottom of Stormforce. Maybe it's got a team of micro midgets spinning the motor. Okay, so the first major difference here is that the Faultmaster has a combined on-off switch and speed control, whereas Stormforce's speed control is separate to the on-off switch. That confirms my suspicions on build and component quality. If you wanted further confirmation, check out the font of the numbers on the speed control dial on Stormforce. They may as well call this typeface generic Chinese factory font. There's no way any respectable European brand would use Times New Roman on a tool. Not since the 70s anyway. The clicking feels, well, clicky I guess. Not a good click like when you have a stretch after a long car journey. More the kind of click you get from your finger because you broke it and never went to the hospital. Power cable entry. Better design on the Faultmaster. I reckon I could pull Stormforce's power cable out with a hard hefty yank. I said yank, you perverts, yank. I'd make a bet there's tension on the electric terminals when the cord's pulled at a tight angle, which I guarantee it will be when I'm trying to de-rust something plugged into the furthest socket in the room. The plug and cable itself, well, not much to say, it's a power cable and plug. It would be hard for even 7-year-old unpaid Chinese kids to fuck that up. Let's start by using a barrel sander. Hold down the spindle locking button and crack it open with some lefty-loosey action. This next instruction is probably only needed for the viewers without girlfriends, but insert shaft into hole. Then tighten the collet like you're doing the world's most unromantic nipple tease. You could use a spanner provided if you want to do it properly. Then flick another one of her nubs and turn her up to frenzy level 5. Bloody hell, I reckon they're telling us porcupines on the noise levels. This thing definitely sounds louder than the Faultmaster. Nobody relates to decibels, so let's use a scale that's more understandable. Let's say level 1 is the sound of a ninja tiptoeing through a library, and 10 is the noise level of my ex-wife screaming that I got her the wrong type of coffee from Starbucks. This thing would measure about a 7, which roughly equates to how loud her farts were after a curry. Now these rotary tools are designed to polish and sand small and delicate or intricate parts, so we should probably test it out on this. I know, you're expecting me to polish a gold ring or do some glass engraving, but I want to know how big Stormforce's bollocks are. Are they big watermelon-sized cojones capable of removing enough rust to clean a Severn bridge? Or are they tiny little peanut gonads that are best suited to cleaning jewellery hanging out of your wife's clitoris piercing? May as well test it out in a rustiest piece of shit in the man cave to find out. If it breaks Stormforce, well, I'm a pro at filling out warranty claims now. Let's let her loose while maintaining a wrist limper than Kenneth Williams and see if there's still some shiny metal hiding under all that red plague. While we watch her do her thing, I'll explain this rusty artefact is actually an old back boiler which was in the fireplace I removed from my lounge. The idea is that this tank is filled with water and it's circulated through connected pipes and radiators using convection. I ain't thrown it away yet because it's a hefty piece of metal, and I'm sure I'll find a use for it somewhere, other than testing out my new rust removing gadget, that is. Well, I can tell Stormforce is feeling the strain, that's for sure, but she's definitely de-rustifying the metal. She's doing a decent job. Not sure if it's the extra 5 wallops of power, or because I haven't used the Faultmaster in a while, but I'd say she definitely feels a bit stronger. Okay, that's enough for now. We got through to the sole of the tank, and we can see her essence shining through. There's still some deep pits, which I'll refer to as designer patination. But let's see if we can increase the shine factor using a slightly less abrasive attachment. Which one shall we use? Let's go for the old tampon disc attachment, which is attached to the mandrel by screwing it like a big furry nut onto an anorexic bolt. Then lube it up with some metal polishing compound and run it over the metal like you're trying to uncover next week's winning lottery numbers. Well, we didn't penetrate, steady now, the metal deep enough to get it shinier than a magpie's wet dream. We got to go a bit deeper to get a really flawless finish, but we definitely gave it a little bit of oat. Okay, so I finally received the Faultmaster 3000 back from the mothership at Dremel HQ. On the last warranty claim, they sent me a new one, but this time, they've not only sent me the old one back, they also nicked the extra large tampon holder carry case that went with it. So another massive fail for Dremel. Alright, let's look over the pros and cons here.
The Faultmaster 3000.
The Dremel's got a quality feel, with the looks to match. The combined speed control on off switch is very handy, and coming in at half a kilo goof, it's lightweight and small, so very easy to hold and manoeuvre. It purrs like a kitten at full speed, and being a Dremel Faultmaster 3000, it's the original rotary tool. You'll impress all your friends, and probably pull a fit bird if you take it down the pub and show it off. As for the cons, well, we all know the first one. The unreliable piece of shit. It's also 5 wallops less powerful and slower with a max speed of only 33,000 really painful mishaps. As you all know, financially speaking, I'm tighter than a virgin's arsehole, so being over double the price of Stormforce, well, wallet no likey. Now let's look at Stormforce. Stormforce. Pros? Well, its bollocks are slightly bigger than a Faultmaster, which may also prevent it from dying as soon as it gets within a 1 metre radius of some rusty stuff, like its silver cousin. It comes in a bomb-proof suitcase, and it's very reasonably priced at just 23 quid, although its reliability is as of yet unknown. The negatives, it's bigger, heavier and louder, so it's way more manly. This is tools for men, and that's going on the pros list. Okay, the real cons. It looks and feels cheaper and lower quality than a Faultmaster. I mean, it literally is cheaper, so no surprises there, I guess. It isn't as ergonomic as the 3000, being a simple blue cylinder with very little contour on the body. It's not as comfortable to hold. Okay, so who do I pick as my number one go-to rotary tool? Well, right now, it has to be Draper's big old blue phallus, Stormforce. Although slightly more unwieldy, her specs are better on paper, and she seems to have a little more get up and go than a Faultmaster. Being substantially cheaper, she has officially now become my rotary tool wife. I'll keep the Faultmaster as my side chick, and we'll de-rust stuff together when Stormforce and I have an argument and she makes me sleep on the sofa. Well, lovely people, thanks for watching. If you found that mildly entertaining, de-rust that like button, polish that subscription button, share it with your favourite curry house, and stay tuned for the next instalment of Fixing Rusty Stuff, Tools for Men.